Starmer's worst nightmare has officially come to fruition. His credibility is in tatters, and his reputation is in absolute disarray after being thoroughly roasted on live television. What should have been a straightforward appearance to discuss Labour's economic plans quickly devolved into a career-threatening catastrophe. The internet erupted with mockery and scorn, transforming the TV show appearance into a public relations nightmare for the Labour Party. Political commentator Claire Marlowan did not hold back, demanding Starmer's resignation and labelling Labour's leadership as a complete omnishambles. She pinpointed the economic stagnation under Starmer, calling the situation a catastrophic hole that the country finds itself in. Marlowan further criticised him for losing touch with the everyday realities faced by ordinary citizens. Labour's officials attempted to steer the narrative in their favour, but the damage was already done. This media debacle is not an isolated incident but rather part of a broader shift in public perception of Starmer. The press, which once granted him the benefit of the doubt, is now dissecting his every move with increasing scrutiny. Starmer's actions suggest a deeper strategy at play, one that extends beyond mere incompetence. His approach to the EU is raising eyebrows, as his words and actions frequently contradict one another. Former Conservative Attorney General Sir Geoffrey Cox has voiced concerns that Starmer may attempt to stealthily reverse Brexit next year, gradually aligning UK laws with EU standards. Cox's worries also encompass the potential reintroduction of freedom of movement for select demographics, which could ultimately restore the authority of the European Court of Justice over the UK. The economic ramifications of such an EU-leaning stance are profound. The Confederation of British Industry has already sounded alarms about a dire economic outlook for 2025, partially attributing the downturn to the Chancellor's tax policies. This economic turmoil may be paving the way for a return to EU economic policies, further inflaming suspicions of unofficial talks between Labour and EU officials. While these meetings remain unconfirmed, they are causing widespread concern regarding a potential EU return that the public might not be privy to. A complete return to the EU would mean relinquishing control over our borders, adhering to EU regulations, and contributing to their budget, effectively negating the years spent debating Brexit. The EU question intertwines with Starmer's strategies regarding security, immigration, and economic policy. As we delve deeper, another critical area to consider is Starmer's plans for the NHS. The NHS crisis is worsening, with soaring waiting times and crippling staff shortages. Starmer's assurances to save the NHS starkly contrast with the grim reality on the ground. Recent performance data reveals that patient demand is on the rise while the number of healthcare professionals is dwindling, leading to month-long waits for essential procedures. Starmer's proposed changes to NHS funding and structure, ostensibly aimed at improving efficiency, are raising alarms among critics who warn that these alterations could result in cuts to vital services. The fear is that more patients may be forced to rely on private healthcare for basic treatment, especially when compared to countries like Germany and France, which have managed to maintain better staffing levels and shorter wait times. The UK's chronic underfunding highlights the severity of the NHS situation, and if Labour's policies continue to neglect public services, we risk sliding into a two-tier healthcare system where quality of care is determined by financial means. Projections indicate that, without substantial changes, waiting times for critical treatments could increase further, potentially jeopardizing life-saving procedures and leaving chronic conditions unaddressed. Is Starmer genuinely committed to saving the NHS, or is his approach setting it up for failure? This crisis is symptomatic of a larger discontent with Starmer's leadership that is not just emanating from the public. The media is also beginning to turn against him. Remember when Starmer vowed to clean up politics? His recent actions have left many scratching their heads. The announcement of 30 new peers joining the House of Lords, most of whom have deep ties to the Labour Party, raises serious questions about reform. Is this Starmer's vision of transparency, or is it slipping into hypocrisy? Each of these new appointments comes with a web of connections that could influence legislation favouring Labour's interests or their previous affiliations. It appears Starmer is assembling his own loyal army within the House of Lords, but what's the ultimate aim? The whispers of quid pro quo arrangements, where favours are doled out in exchange for political support, are growing louder. This pattern of behaviour, coupled with Labour's current economic policies and governance style, only adds fuel to the fire. Labour is facing internal strife, with a facade of unity crumbling to reveal deep-seated discontent within the party. Policy disagreements are rampant, with some Labour MPs openly defying party lines on crucial votes. Moreover, the emergence of covert leadership campaigns among senior figures hints that the party is fracturing along ideological lines. Concerns are mounting regarding the upcoming local elections in May. Poor performance could be the final nail in Starmer's political coffin. The growing disillusionment among party members is palpable, as they feel disconnected from the Labour Party they once knew. Public opinion is also shifting against Starmer, creating a perfect storm of dissatisfaction. His list of broken promises is expanding rapidly, from tuition fees to tax hikes, leaving voters feeling betrayed. Starmer's once promised pledges have evaporated, further eroding trust in his leadership. As the economic situation deteriorates, the consequences of his decisions are becoming increasingly evident. With so many challenges converging, Starmer's leadership may be nearing its end. Political insiders are already speculating about potential replacements, and if he fails to regain control, the Labour Party may soon be scrambling for a new direction in these tumultuous times. The question remains, how much longer can Starmer weather this storm before the tides turn irreversibly against him?